Miss Minutes, I had she was like,
She was trying to fuck Kang. I mean, Victor Timely. She was like, "Give me a body, boy."
I think she knows about what Renslayer's original role is, which is why I think at the end of the episode she was like, "Oh, I know a secret about you,"
It's gonna
and
make you
she's like,
angry,
"What is
yeah.
it?" Yeah, it's like it'll make you angry. So I think she knows her original role, which
Mm.
if you remember from the last episode, no, not the last episode, the first episode of this season, when Loki was time glitching, he was time glitching to a different time period of the TVA. So it was basically him going to a point before the TVA was reset because apparently it seemed like the TVA was reset over and over. Like all these, variants that were working in the TVA were reset because those variants didn't know who Loki was. And then
Yeah.
um, either it was reset or it was just before. No, because they still didn't know who he was.
Yeah, because
So
at the end they were like, Mobius was like, "Who are you? What department are you in?" Blah blah blah.
yeah, yeah. So but I was gonna say that it could have just been before they met Loki, but in last season they knew who Loki was before they met him.
Uh huh.
Because he was jumping through time and
Okay,
shit.
so what
Anyway,
if? Oh, my bad, my bad, my bad. Time
yeah.
glitching.
So he was time glitching. He was just going back because if you remember too, when the big time sphere thing or the timeline sphere, the big orange like monitor, when
Yeah.
it fell and hit the center of the room, it cracked it, and then when he went back to the time he was originally supposed to be in, that crack was there.
The crack
And the
was
same
there.
thing with like when he was talking to Ouroboros, he was jumping back and forth. Anyways, so Renslayer's original role was pretty much Kang's significant other. It was pretty much he who remains significant other. Because in the first episode, when Loki was playing the little audio tapes on the war room, um, uh, the conversation between he who remains and Renslayer was pretty intimate. He was like, glad you're. I think he was saying, I'm glad you're by my side. Anyways, it sounded like a relationship.
Right.
So I think Miss Minutes knew that, and she didn't want that to happen.
Mm.
Because she was by his side through all these different times and stuff. Because I think she's the only one that wasn't ever reset.
No, because she still knew everything that
Yeah.
happened before that, and she still was the. Yeah, she was the only one who knew he who remains ultimate plan. If it, you know, he died, or he would have inevitably died. But do you
Yeah.
think? I have a theory, and it may just be a little bit off. It's the first time I did a theory in a while. So Loki was jumping back and forth through, the timeline that he was currently in, where everybody knows him. Mobius and all them know him from, exactly where they left off at the end of season one. And then he was jumping back to where everything is completely different. You see a statue of Kang, and you see all that type of stuff, right? They got Victor Timely back into the TVA, right? That he's supposed to, fix the loom or whatever, because he's the only one who's able to do that. That's why Loki was protecting him from Sylvie. So, what if, just like you were saying, Victor Timely actually ends up resetting the TVA, but it's like an alternate TVA. So he resets it to an alternate TVA to where he is creating it. There's no timekeepers or whatever. Everybody knows that he is the creator of the TVA because he was already given the book. He knows everything about it. He knows all the guidelines or whatever. So what if that's what's going to happen, like this season? You know, they're gonna try and fix the loom, but Victor Timely ends up creating an alternate TVA and resets everything to where nobody knows who Loki is, or nobody knows what's going on. They just know that they're just going to work into the TVA, and because that's what their destiny is. Kind of like how season one was when Loki was like, "Mobius, do you think this is all there is?" And Mobius was kind of like, "Yeah, this is what I was made to do."
Yeah. Interesting. Um, that's just something we're gonna have to find out and later in the season. Kind of hard to tell. I mean, it's a good theory in my opinion. Um,
Yeah. I mean, how many
I,
episodes
so,
is this season? Is it gonna be?
how many was the last season?
Last
I'm
season was
assuming it.
only 6. Last season was
Yeah,
only 6. I don't
assuming
know
it's the
why it
same.
felt longer though.
So, like I was saying, okay, he who remains, I think, planted a young uh, Nathaniel Richards in the past um, as Victor Timely to kind of throw off the other Kangs because this one will be fresh. This one knows nothing. All the other Kang variants obviously have been in part of the war, the part of the Council of Kangs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he remains is not a part of it, which is why he created the TVA to stop those timelines from happening,
Uh-huh.
stopped all those variants from existing. But obviously he died, so they exist again. So I think his plan was to have at least one variant as a backup where he knows nothing, and it won't sabotage his plan to keep the TVA a thing,
Yeah.
keep these timelines and these variants from causing another multiversal war. So
Keep him intact, basically.
pretty much. So I think that's why Victor Timely exists. Um, Again, he remains. He planned all this. I mean, he planned Sylvie and Loki showing up. Um,
Yeah.
he up until a point which is I think was called the Nexus point,
Yeah.
um, which was when I think when Wanda became the Scarlet Witch. There was a bunch of other factors, like big multiversal factors that happened that he was like,
I
you
don't
know,
know what's going on type of
yeah,
thing. Oh yeah, Wanda was a Scarlet Witch. The Spider-Man No Way Home thing, where
yeah, the
everything.
spell, yeah,
Uh huh. All that. There was another. There was another thing. What was it? What was the other thing? I'm not too sure what the other thing was, but there was like multiple factors that played into that.
hmm. So I yeah, that's my theory on that. Or could be dumb. Um,
No theory is dumb
yeah,
unless you're stupid.
I'll stick to my theory that I just said just now, but this one's just a to throw out there. What if the Kang from um
Quantum Mania.
Quantumania transported to 18 something and became
Ooh, okay. I see what you're talking about.
where he got
It's a little far fetched, but
yeah yeah that's what I was saying. Like it was just it's a
but
bad theory in my opinion, but I mean it's a theory nonetheless.